Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Brunch. I am your host, and of course, we have the wonderful Russ Whitfield with us today. How are you this morning,
Well,
Russ?
that's a big intro. The wonderful Russ Whitfield. Wow. Okay. Yes, I'm absolutely fine. It's freezing cold here now in England. It's not Maine cold or Canada cold or anything like that, but it's proper cold as far as we have it. Sub-zero temperatures. But no, I'm doing great. Um, couldn't be better. Couldn't be better.
Well, that's good to hear. I love hearing things are going well. We do, yeah, I know it is winter essentially, right? Or initially, but almost winter in a few days. As you guys know, I am still in Los Angeles and it is 57 degrees here. It's raining though. There's rain, like it's raining. But in New York, it would be around 30 something degrees. So it still feels 100% better
Mhm.
in the rain here in LA than it does right now for a lot of these other areas. So I'm not complaining about the rain. I'm fine with it. Um, and I hope everybody who's here is doing well. We have Tom Jr. Jackson who is with us. We are all good people. Good morning, Tom.
Man, the legend. Hello, Tom.
And Mikey Lito is here with us saying holidays, one and all.
My conscience arrives.
Good to
Hey,
see you,
Mikey.
Mikey. Yes. Good to see you, Mike Lito, known for watch first, then form opinion, guys. Certainly excellent advice. Keely Chow is here with
Roll
us.
Tide, Keely Chow.
Yeah, roll tide, Keely. So good to see you. And Retro Nerd Girl's here with us this morning.
Oh,
Retro
there
Nerd
she
Girl
is. I
has
didn't
a
see her.
wonderful
Hey,
channel.
Retro Nerd Girl. It's so good to see you.
Yes, so good to see you this morning, Retro Nerd Girl. Retro Nerd Girl has a wonderful channel. Guys, please do check out Retro Nerd Girl's.
And the cutest voice on the internet. I have to add. I could listen to her all day. She should. I've said it before. She should be doing audiobooks.
Absolutely. And guys, I want to apologize. My internet right now, I'm not at home. I am using internet where I'm staying, and it's not the best or strongest. So if I zoom in and out, I apologize. I also want to say hello to Cool Gamer. Hi, Cool Gamer.
Hello, mate.
Hope you are well, Cool Gamer. We also have Joe Tyson says,
Big
good morning, good
Joe.
afternoon,
Hey,
Russ,
dude.
Art, and everyone. Thank you so much, Joe Tyson. Also, Darth Plato is here.
Salwe Amici.
Yes, Darth Plato, it's so good to see you here this morning as usual. Really enjoying this morning, even though it's raining. It's still a great morning. Stubble McShade is here. Hi, Stubble.
How's it, Stubble?
Stubble says, "Hi, gang. Hi, hi, Stubble. I have a feeling that you have a ton of snow where you are, and it might even be snowing right now. Let us know, Stubble, what's going on with the weather where you are." And we have OG fan when Star Wars was just Star Wars. Is good morning, Artem and Russ and everyone in the chat. Happy Sunday.
Hello there. That's what they say in Star Wars,
And
right? Isn't it? Hello there. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And you have the right accent too.
I do.
So
Yeah.
and Tom Jr. Jackson is so kind to remind you check Lorraine and I out tomorrow night on the Burnett Network for our Ladies of the PGS show at 6 p.m. Eastern for our live discussion about things going on. We are going to be discussing a movie that I saw this week called Violent Night that I just can't stop talking about, Russ.
Yeah. Shit. I got to see that. Is that got the bloke from Stranger Things in it?
It's got the blow from Stranger Things in
You
it,
know,
Russ. It's
now
got
our
that guy, and
I'm thinking of doing a back to back because I haven't seen Fat Man either with Mel Gibson, and I kind of feel that those two would book in each other quite nicely. So that's on the list.
excellent. Violent Night is in the theaters, and I'm trying to think of the other movie that we saw at the same time was The Menu. Yesterday we saw Devotion, as well as I can't remember what I saw yesterday. This is so bad. But
You
yeah, I
haven't
think
been like participating in the old California rule of 420, have you? Like, are you like stoned? Is that why you sound so husky? You've just been
no,
up all night smoking bowls.
I can't even describe. I was up late. Let's just but I wasn't smoking, It's if I stay up late, this is what happens. Sometimes I can lose my voice if I'm
were
out
you
late.
like, were you with someone last night? Were you like on a hot date, or is
Oh
this
my
what's going on
god,
here?
Russ! Oh my goodness. Cheeky question.
I know.
Yes.
I might have hit the
Let's just say
mark. I might have hit the mark here.
I'm not saying anything, but tonight I'm going out to dinner with a very good friend who I have streamed with in the past. I'm not going to say who it is, but they live in LA and they came to New York this year a few times, and I went out to dinner with them. And now LA, and I'm going out to dinner with them tonight. So there is that. So you do have some there's some truth to your insinuation, but I'm not going to say anything because I don't say anything
Mhm.
about what's going
You wait
on.
till the show. I've got the light here that we're going to be 20 questions, so brace yourself.
Well, I did also want to say good morning to who is anyone else? Did I get
Nathan,
everybody? Nathan.
Hio's here. Yeah, I saw him.
Hello, Nathan. Good morning to you. He says, "What's up, my peeps?" Yo,
And
what's up?
to sort of finish that off, Stubble saying it's -6 in the southeast of Sweden, but not much snow. It's bitter, man. Stubble, I once went to Iceland, and believe me, I know why it's called Iceland. It was fucking cold like I have never felt. I've been in New York, and New York's proper cold. Like it really can get freezing cold. But this was something else. And I don't know, man. If this, it might be something about the sort of Scandinavian attitude to things. But as I say, it was so cold, and there was this huge guy, drunk, passed out on this like traffic island. You know where you cross the road and there's like a traffic island in the middle, and then you cross to the other side. Absolutely comatose. I'm like, fuck, what are we gonna do? So I said to my ex-wife, she obviously she was not my ex-wife at the time. Fuck Sal, what are we gonna do? I said, well, let's get the police. And we were right by a police station. Except the police station seemed to be closed. And I sort of had to essentially break into the police station to sort of find a cop. And I found a cop like checking his car out. And I said, look, hello, sorry, I'm English, I don't speak. And he said, oh, we all speak English, what's up? Well, how can I help you? I said, there's a bloke passed out in the middle of the traffic island there, like it's freezing cold. This guy could die, And the guy said, okay, we'll look into it. And then he just went back to what he was doing. He was doing something with his car. So I just left. Anyway, the guy was still there. Later on that night, we were out buying really, really expensive Scandi alcohol, because buying alcohol in Scandinavia is a fortune, and they don't sell it in liquor stores like we do. You have to sort of plan ahead. And of course, we're British, we didn't plan ahead. And there he was, wandering down the street, still smashed. So he survived. So the story had a happy ending.
Wow, that's quite a story, and gosh, that's very dangerous to stay out in temperatures like that. Um,
Really tough dude.
goodness. Yeah, yeah. So, goodness, I hope you're keeping warm, Stubble. I hope you're keeping nice and warm um, out there. And Stubble mentions that later tonight or tomorrow, I'm watching my favorite Christmas movie, Gremlins. Absolutely, Stubble. I'd love to do a watch party with Gremlins with you. Stubble. It's been a while since we've done any videos, but it would be great to do a watch party since I know that your favorite Christmas movie, more or less, which is wonderful. And it is a lot of people's favorite Christmas movies. So, Russ, do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
I suppose you're supposed to say Die Hard, aren't you? Because everybody that's like a nerd and they go, oh, Die Hard's a Christmas movie, and I love Die Hard. It realistically, honestly, if we're going to go down the rom-com route, which I guess is what you're driving at here, out of all of them, I like Love Actually. That's the one I've seen.
You
That's
like Love Actually
I do.
with Lincoln
Yeah.
and Jackman and oh my gosh. Well, and he plays the prime minister, right?
It's
That's
what's his name? Hugh Grant.
yes, pardon me. Hugh Grant, he plays the prime minister. He has that famous dance scene where he kind of is grooving to music, and he kind of falls in love with one of his assistants.
Yeah, she was a soap
It's a
star
great
here in England.
film.
Uh,
What was the soap opera?
Martine McCutcheon was the girl that he fell in love with. She was in a soap opera here called EastEnders, which is a huge soap opera, and she was so beautiful. She's like such a good actress, and she went over to Hollywood to sort of be the next big thing, and never was the next. the next big thing. I don't know why. What it just never gelled for her. But yeah, no, I like that one also. But I'm actually spending Christmas with the Outcast Creative,
Oh,
which is going to be a fun time. So we are watching a Christmas movie. Yes, we are watching the very festive, uh, absolutely nailed on Christmas classic Invasion USA, starring Chuck Norris, which takes place at Christmas. So I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's watch that, man. That's cool. And he goes, oh, I've got that on Blu-ray. I'm like, fucking no way, I've only got it on DVD. So there we go. That's my Christmas. Me and the Outcasts.
well, I don't know if the Outcast creators are here right now, but I do want to say hi to Lance and the entire group of the Outcast. You have certainly an incredible channel and group. Lance, if you're watching, hello, and the rest of the Outcast crew, hi. Do check out their channel. I also want to say hello to Sean Holmes, who says, "Why is it that nobody has rebooted Gremlins?" It's a
Oh,
good
please don't.
question.
Sean, it's a good question, but no, man. And hello, hello, good to see you and all of that. But no, some things should just be left alone. Um,
Yeah, there is some truth to that. Excuse me, guys. Sorry, these late nights. OG fan with Star Wars, which is Star Wars, says that much alcohol acts as antifreeze at that point. LOL.
yeah, that's so true, so true. Oh god, we got a couple of new people coming in here. Punk Treese.
We do. Hi, Punk Tracy says hi, Positive Fandom. Hi, how are you this morning? I always love your avatar because it's a candy corn, right? I love that. Punk Tracy is fantastic members of my channel, Lorraine's channel. Thank you so much for stopping by this morning. We so enjoy seeing you here. And is it really the one? Is it really the Rod
Thunderheart.
Thunderheart?
Wow.
Oh my
Celebrity
God.
Rod in the house. How's it
I
going, man?
can't believe it. Hi, Rod Thunderheart. So good to see you this morning. Um, Tom Jr. Jackson says he watched Love Actually, and it turns 20, I think, next year or this year. Wow.
It's a good film. It's just a classic.
Absolutely. Top Rod Thunderheart says, I'm actually watching Enemy of the State, also a Christmas movie. I concur, Rod Thunderheart. Certainly. Rod Thunderheart, are you not an author? Correct me if I'm wrong. If you are, just let us know what you have out right now. We'd love to share it with
Yeah.
everybody here this morning. He is, right?
Uh,
He's an author,
I
right,
think I
Russ?
think so. But Punk Treese. How do I say it?
Yes, Punk Tracy.
Punk Treese. He says Love Actually, and the number one Xmas movie. I've just lost it. But he talks about Bad Santa. Bad Santa. My God, I watched that on a plane, and I'm not really big into comedy, right? But it was just on, and I put that on, and the bit where he's drunk, and it's like the whole film is like really funny, but the slapstick bit when he's hammered and he's falling all over the place, like and the elves and he's collapsing. Jesus, people on the plane thought I was nuts because I just, when you go and I just couldn't stop laughing. I sat in the chair like that. So yeah, pretty
I'm glad.
not one of my best moments.
Well, you know something, it's okay to laugh and enjoy a film and, cut loose a little bit. I'm sure it distracted them a bit, but it's nice to hear people laughing. That's what entertainment is for, is to entertain. And were you not entertained? I guess the answer is absolutely. Tom Jr. Jackson says there's an animated Gremlins thing coming to HBO Max soon. Oh, interesting. And Mike Alito says that his famous version is a 1951 version of Scrooge starring Alistair Sim, a fabulous movie. I do love that version of Scrooge from 1951 with Alistair Sim. I think he's a great actor,
Could you bear
and
with
it was
me
a
a
great.
second? Just literally 1 second.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, I'm just going to take Russ out for a second. We also have here. Yes. Yes, Rod. If you are, oh, he's back. Okay. If you are an author, please let us know, Rod, so we can put your information there in the chat here. Okay. Darth Plato says Rod Thunderheart needs appropriate intro. Yes.
It has to be metal. It's got to be metal with Rod Thunderheart for me, anyway.
Absolutely. So I did wanna say, Russ, I have a lot of Christmas favorites. I do like Die Hard. I do like to watch Scrooge every year. I used to watch that on Christmas Eve going into Christmas. That was one. But I honestly feel like I have a new I'm talking about it a little bit today, but I'm gonna talk about it tomorrow too, and it has to do with a movie called Violent Night.
Hmm.
Violent Night, and I have to tell you, I didn't know what to expect, and as you mentioned before, well, actually a couple minutes ago, that it stars the gentleman from Stranger Things, the father,
Hmm.
um, and he just plays Santa Claus. He plays Santa Claus, but there's so much more to this story. It reminded me a lot of an '80s film, Russ. I felt like it was a combination of Die Hard, of, what's the other film? Home Alone and, uh, Christmas Vacation all rolled up into one.
Well, I mean, I can't
And
comment
I think that
on.
it was
Oh,
okay.
sorry, I lost you there. Sorry, you froze. Excuse me.
That's okay. That's okay. And I know everybody hasn't seen the film. I'm certainly not gonna go too much into it, but I just think it's a new Christmas classic that people are gonna turn to. However, I do wanna mention that it is a violent film, hence the term Violent Night. It is 100% beyond the shadow of a doubt a Christmas movie. If you've lost the Christmas spirit, if you wanna start singing Christmas carols again, if you didn't know Santa was badass, then you need to see Violent Night, everybody. I can't get enough of how much fun it was to watch this film. The casting was perfect. The whole thing really was fun to watch. So I did just want to mention it. Go ahead and pay the money to see Violent Night this year. You won't be disappointed,
Okay, well,
guys. So
shall I try and watch this movie and then we give it a breakdown next week?
yes, yes, let's do that. I would love to do that, and I think it's certainly worth. That's how much I loved it. We haven't had anything like this in a little while, so I think it's nice to sometimes have films where there is physical exertion because, the holidays are stressful,
Mm,
and you sometimes it's good to see these things when, you have these stressors and a stressful time of year, and it does kind of some of the stress. So there is that. Now, Rod Thunderheart says, my book is called See Through Love, available from Frisian Press. A Spanish teacher who can become invisible when she's angry, but when she's aroused, it happens like it or not. Whoa. Whoa. Arousal.
here we go.
That's my kind of story. Thunderheart, certainly is interesting, to hear something about arousal, and it is nice to hear, an adult story. So, guys, certainly do check out Rod Thunderheart's book, See Through Love. He doesn't just mean that, he means it literally too. Because she is invisible when she's angry. So, that's very interesting, Rod Thunderheart, who goes on to say, yeah, I used Thunderstruck when I wrestled. Oh, you're a
I had
wrestler.
no
Oh,
idea you were a wrestler. That's amazing,
mhm.
man.
Thunderstruck, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that
it's such a great song. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm hearing it now in my mind. We can't play it, but boy, if we could, we'd be playing that, with that incredible riff. It's like, I can't play the riff, but, it's an incredible riff. Maybe one of the most famous guitar riffs out there.
you've got
So
a super chat.
yes, I do. Yes, we do. Certainly, I do want to thank Pirate Queen. Hi, Pirate Queen, for $1.99. Pirate Queen, thank you so much for the generosity here. We appreciate what you are doing. It does make a difference to the channel. Every penny makes a difference. Thank you so much for doing this and for supporting Positive Fandom. Pirate Queen says Terry Pratchett's Hogfather is a must see for me.
I haven't seen that, but I do want to know why Pirate Queen is called Pirate Queen. I was once going to write a story about two pirate ladies, and I had their names in my mind, and it's gone completely out. What are they called? Mary, Darth Play all know the two female pirates, Mary, somebody. Anyway, they had a great story, and they were legit. They were these two women were legit pirates. They were featured a little bit in Black Sails, actually. One of them was. And
Oh,
I can't
interesting.
believe it. Yeah, I can't believe it. And I had their names in my mind, and it's gone out of my head. But yeah, so why Pirate Queen?
Yeah, yeah, this is a good point. We'd like to find out more about that. Certainly do let us know in the chat. Retro Nurgle says, I'm going to check it out when I can. Obviously, we were talking about famous, or at least our favorite Christmas movies. We kind of came upon us. Rod, I don't know. This is a point. You can't put the link in there. Is it on Amazon? Where can we find that book? Rod, if it's on Amazon, we'll get the link, I guess, in there. Um, and Punk Tracy says, I have the unrated version of the first Santa in my DVD collection. And everybody, let's get physical media on the Burr Network. It's going to start early today at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. Wow, that is early. Um, uh, okay. Stubble McShave says, Hogfather's pretty good. I prefer the book though, although I haven't read it or seen it for several years. I don't think I've seen it. But Rod Thunderheart, wow, we have another super chat. This is incredible. Says it's a romance, martial arts, sci-fi, comedy, drama, and spy thriller.
Jesus,
Wow, that's a
sounds right
lot.
up my street then.
Yes, that does sound like a lot. And the Outcast Creative
Hello,
is
Lance.
here.
We were just talking about you.
Yes, we were. I'm assuming it's Lance, but if it's not Lance, hello, Outcast Creative Crew. We certainly do appreciate you stopping by this morning or afternoon where you are. Hope you are well. The Outcast Creative for £2 says, I wish I could afford more. Avatar 2 is awesome. Yes, that is coming out this week, Russ. Be seeing Avatar this week, Russ? Because I'm going to see it on Thursday at the AMC 16 in Burbank.
I haven't got any plans, but I really must. As part of my professional commitment to this channel, I better see it. And yeah, thanks for that, Lance, or Outcast Creative. That's very generous. But yeah, I must check it out. I heard Chris Gore talking about it, and I'll go in. I watched the first one again on a plane, funnily enough. So I haven't seen it for years. So yeah, of course I'll see it. I must watch it. And just before we carry on, Darth Player says Anne Bonny. Yeah, Anne Bonny and Mary Reed. That was the pair of them. Thanks, Darth Plato.
Yes, thank you, Darth Plato, for that. I so appreciate you letting us know. Yeah, we hope you're well, Outcast Creators. Thank you once again for the generous super chat. That is so kind of you. You have no idea. It's every little bit counts. So thank you so much. And thank you for letting us know about Avatar. And now I'm excited to see this. The first one, I admitted that I went to see it because Sam Worthington is in it, guys. I'm not going to lie. He was enough to make me buy a ticket to Avatar. So as soon as I stepped into the theater and knew I was going to see him, I was very happy. And then I got us deserves, because what happens in the film, he turns into somebody. And no, Mom, I'm on the air. I'm on the air. It's okay. She answered the question. What happens? I got my just deserved because he ends up turning into one of the Navi and he doesn't look like Sam Worthington anymore. And I'm like, this is not right, man. But
yeah, he's kind of
it's still
interesting.
okay. It's okay.
It's interesting about him, isn't it? They really tried to make him like the next big thing. It's like the other guy that was in the John Carter of Mars, Taylor Kitsch, I think his name was, something like that. And they were all around at the same time, these guys, and they really pushed them, to make them huge. And they were in these big movies, like Worthington was in Terminator Salvation, he was in Clash of the Titans, he was in Wrath of the Titans, he was in the biggest movie of all time, Avatar. But he never really sort of took off. But I did see a film, I'm sure it was him. It's just a little Australian movie, which was based on a true story about this sting operation to catch a guy that had killed a bunch of people, and it was really, really great. It was just low key, low budget, brilliantly acted Aussie movie. It's on UK Netflix anyway. I forget what it's called now, but it was on there for a while.
Well, I'm gonna have to check it out because I can't get enough of him. And I love watching him on
He
the
doesn't
screen.
look
I
like
think
him
he's
though.
great.
He's got like long
I
hair and a beard, and he doesn't look like his normal clean cut self.
Well, I even watched him in a like, I guess, a dramatization of, the Unabomber, where he played a detective, an FBI agent or something like that in it. And I watched him in that, so which I thought was really good. I thought he acted well in that. So, yeah, Sam Worthington, and he's in this one in Avatar too, but he's a Navi, so I'm still getting my just deserved. See, this is what happens when you go to see a film because somebody's in it. But it used to happen a lot. I mean, in Hollywood and in movies, if you found out that there was a specific actor in a film, you'd go see it, right, Russ?
Absolutely. Those days are sort of less and less now, but there was a time when you'd go and see the latest, I don't know, Tom Cruise, or the latest Will Smith, or that before that you'd go and see Arnold Schwarzenegger because it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. You'd go and see Stallone because it was Stallone. But yeah, that's changed a little bit in the modern era. But yeah, no, 100%.
And guys, I want to apologize that my internet, I didn't choose the local recordings today. And when you choose local recordings, what happens is even though my video may appear to stop, it actually records it smoothly. And I should have done this.
Mm.
So when it's up online, after we finish recording, shows a smooth show. It doesn't show any interruptions like what you guys might be experiencing. So I'm sorry. Hopefully the weather will improve and the internet will improve. But I did want to thank Punk Teresi for the 99-cent super chat. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. So good to see you this morning. I can't tell what the super sticker is from point of view, but thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. Certainly on my channel and on Lorraine's channel, we were so grateful for that. And thank you for tuning in. It certainly does make a difference. Rod Thunderheart talks about Mexican Ironmans. I'm assuming that he's talking
His
about
novel.
um,
He's talking about his
is he
novel.
talking
He's
about
talking
how?
about his novel. So he's saying that he
Oh,
mixed all the genres in the first one. He's nearly finished book two, and he's planned and plotted books 3 to 7. So that's
oh,
some going.
okay, excellent. Well, yeah, that sounds amazing. Maybe they'll make it into a series. Rod, that's exciting. I think that would be great. Definitely check out Rod Thunderheart's book. He says that it is in the Frisian Press bookstore, everybody. So please check it out. Tom Jr. Jackson says he's going to look for it. We're all going to look for it, everybody. Please support Rod Thunderheart and his book there. Mario Lopez is here today, everybody.
Oh shit! Mario and I are in the same boat. So yesterday, Portugal got dumped out of the World Cup by Morocco, which nobody was expecting, and England got dumped out by France, which pretty much everybody was expecting. So no more World Cup for me and Mario.
I'm sorry, guys. And I'm not going to deny the fact past I have supported France in the World Cup. So there is that, but I'm sorry that England was eliminated. Honestly, I'm just so shocked that we're at the quarterfinals. I was somewhere and I saw, I think it was Argentina playing somebody, and it said, "Oh, this team made it to the quarterfinals." I said, "Already?" It just feels like the cup went by so fast for us. Like you're already in the quarterfinals.
Mm,
I'm not ready. And also, isn't the cup usually in the summertime, or am I
no, you're
wrong?
correct. It's just FIFA, the organisation that organises football globally, was proven several years ago to be literally the most corrupt organization of all time. And lots of countries had a problem with it because you'd always see like home nations getting through. I remember a game in when the World Cup was in Japan and South Korea, and South Korea were playing Italy, and I think Italy won the game sort of like 95-1 or something like that. They just kept scoring, and every single goal they scored was disallowed, and South Korea won the game 1-0. It was so unjust, and you see it all the time. But basically, it's come out that FIFA people were bribed and bribed and bribed and bribed by the Qataris to get this World Cup, and it took place in Qatar. But of course, it's too hot for anybody to play there in the summer, so they moved it to the winter for the first time ever. So this World Cup has been held under a little bit of a cloud.
Yeah, it's weird. It feels unusual, but it's good to know the answer to that. And wasn't there some talk about alcohol being served or not being
Not being
served?
served.
Um,
So football and beer go together like peas and carrots, I guess. But it's pretty strict over there, and apparently you can get beer in the hotels and in the fan zones, but it's like £12 for a pint of beer. So you'll be really, you know, I can't imagine, you know, £24 for 2 beers. I mean, that's just huge.
Yeah, that's price gouging, and they didn't have to do that, and we know they didn't have to do that considering how much money the cup, has and is gonna already be drawing for a
Hmm.
company, so, yeah, there is that. Well, thank you for telling me that. Only God knows who's gonna win, now, but, um, Jamin D has sent a $20 super chat. Thanks so much, Jamin D. You're always such a great supporter of the channel. I do just want to say thank you so much. This makes such a big difference for me, to be able to continue to do the channel and to do all the things I do on this channel. I have things that I haven't even shown you guys yet, but you're going to be seeing it coming up this new year. Things that I'm working on and different projects. So, gee, I hope all of you out there are doing well. Certainly, I hope your holiday season you celebrate this holiday is going well. And Jamin D, again, you've been such a great supporter of the channel. Thank you for the $20. It makes such a big difference here, and I do so appreciate it. And I don't see a comment, Jamin. Did you have a comment? So I don't know if you tried to send a comment or not, but let us know. Oftentimes you do send comments, Jamin. The Outcast Creative says, I saw a cast and crew screening, Russ, and I could always go and see it again on Boxing Day.
Hmm.
Oh,
Well, let's see
wow.
how
On
let's see how hungover we are after Christmas Day. So
Yes, of course. And it is fastly approaching us. In a few weeks, it will be Christmas, guys. So do keep that in mind. And it's absolutely Lance who is here saying that, I'm guessing, in this case. So hi, Lance. Thalia Mayer is here. Hi,
hey,
Thalia.
Thalia.
Thalia says, good morning, Artem, Russ, and Tom Jr. Jackson, who is the moderator here, but also my collaborator. And we are all goof people, guys. Check out Tom Jr. Jackson's YouTube channel, everybody, for his reviews, and subscribe, please. Sean Holmes says, my favorite holiday movie is called Santa Claus 1985, starring actor John Lithgow. Interesting. I've got to check that one out. There were a
I've
lot
not
of
seen that one yet.
films that were made like that are pretty good, and John Lithgow's a great actor. So I'm sure this must be a really good film, Sean. Thank you for letting us know that. And you guys should let us know your favorites in the chat as well. Pirate Queen says, when I was younger, I was on a fire department. Our small known as the Pirate Brigade. Well, that must be in the UK. I was the only woman and got the nickname, I'm guessing, because Brigade. No, sometimes it's usually, yeah, maybe Brigade might be UK,
It
but
is, yeah. You
wow.
say fire department, don't you, in the US? But it's fire brigade. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Pirate Queen,
That's
the
cool.
Pirate Brigade. I love it, Pirate Queen. It sounds like this would make a good movie, Russ.
Hmm.
Um, this would make a good movie. Pirate Queen, I don't know if you write or do screenplays, but you should write up something about this brigade, the Pirate Brigade. Maybe you'd even get a TV show out of this. Certainly something to think about. Young, this young team of firefighters. I think someone would make something out of it. I know they've done something with the guy from SEAL Team. So think about it. But thank you, Pirate Queen. We love stuff like this. That is so kind of you to share that with us. Um, oh yes, Darth Plato also says, consider a story about Teuta. I don't know who that is, an Illyrian queen who has the power beyond the Adriatic pirates in the 3rd century BC, contemporary of Hannibal.
Well,
Oh.
I've got so much on at the moment. Darth Plato. I really want to try and get a movie off the ground before I go back to books. I've been thinking about books a lot lately, but you just can't.
Yes.
I've got to go after this one thing, and and actually get credited for it. I have done a couple of movies, but I've never been credited, which for reasons. And I really just want to get my name out there, and then maybe I'll go back to writing novels.
Well, guys, please do check out russwhitfield.com. Russ is a fantastic author of the Gladiatrix series, guys. So please do check out the Gladiatrix series by Russ right here. He's right here, guys.
I don't know
russellwhitfield.com.
about fantastic. That's but I'm an author. Yeah, but thank you.
Well, certainly do check out his books. I promise you guys, you won't be disappointed. It's a fantastic series, the Gladiatrix series. So do please find out more about that if you can, guys. Now, Punk Tracy says the first time I watched Avatar, the first one, was when Lorena did a watch along of it on her channel. And ironically, Punk Tracy, if I remember correctly, I was with Lorena during that watch party. So excuse me. It was a fun night. It's a very long film. And yes, I do also want to mention, Russ, that there has been kind of like a lot of criticism of James Cameron recently. And, honestly, I don't really view him as a controversial figure. He's a guy who seems to be able to make excellent films. He made the Titanic, and I didn't know what that film was going to be like because there have been so many Titanics before it. It's not a new trope to make a Titanic film. But what he wanted to do was to modernize, give us a modern version of what it might be like. And what he did in Mexico, which is where I think they filmed quite a bit of it, with that life-size version of the Titanic, was just remarkable, Russ,
Hmm.
and a huge undertaking. And I was talking about this on Saturday, a Friday night on Musings. Imagine going to the studio and asking for $20 million, which might be the average amount that a person would ask for a film. But Cameron is the type of person who would say, I need 300 million or $400 million.
Hmm.
And he's straight faced. Like, he's like, I can't do it without, 300 million. I think if that's your starting point, you have that much balls, you have that much confidence to ask for that amount. He certainly is a class above the rest. And he does these things. He has these great visions. And while I admit Titanic it's very niche, isn't it? It's a disaster style film, and it's on real events. Avatar isn't based on anything real; it's a fantasy. Aliens is a science fiction fantasy. A lot of the stuff that he did The Abyss, which was also kind of a fantasy, underwater fantasy. And he, has gone farther down into, I don't know what trench
Mariana's
or
Trench.
whatever, the Marianas Trench. He's farther down than maybe what one of two people on Earth have ever gone down there. And he kind of like, he's almost very matter of fact about it. And he's like, yeah, well, we went down, I don't know how many fathoms. And I'm thinking to myself, do you realize that you've gone to an area on Earth where probably only two other people have gone, and you're very kind of like nonchalant about it? Dive down to the Titanic, of course, in one of those pods a few times, maybe 20 times. I think that it's really interesting. He's an adventurer. He's an adventurer doing that. You're not an ordinary person. Ordinary people don't dive down into the ocean to take a look at a peek at the Titanic. He might be, I'm not going to say he's like Ernest Hemingway or anything like that, but it feels like he has that adventure spirit of Ernest Hemingway, and he likes to create fantasy things that people can enjoy. And Ernest Hemingway, who's known for his incredible writing, that no one, maybe there'll never be another person like him, but I like that adventure part of him, as well as his desire to kind of modernize certain things and make them have a different spin, a different thing that he thinks will work. What do you think, Russ? Has James Cameron kind of been getting a bad rap?
I think he made a quote about testosterone that was taken sort of completely out of context, and that is actually a theme, I think, of today's show. To be honest, some stuff I want to talk about later on about things being taken out of context and certain outlets and certain people just running with it and spreading panic for clicks and all that stuff. But for James Cameron, the thing about James Cameron that anybody that's studied the man and or his work is he is an incredibly driven individual. Like, you know, he was not always the James Cameron of Terminator and Aliens and Titanic, which you say is a niche film, but it was, yes, it kind of is, but it was also one of the most successful films of all time because But to dial it back, James Cameron, like so many people that we of our vintage follow, got his start out. Oh God, what's the guy's name? Concord Studios, B movie Schlockmeister, and he was working on a movie called Battle Beyond the Stars, um, and he was just a guy painting sets along with Bill Paxton and all the rest of it. But he was so good, so driven that he actually got made to be the director of the art department. And I can't think of this filmmaker's name. He's really famous for like low budget movies, and it's just gone completely out of my head. But yeah, and
It's not Golden
no,
Globus.
no, 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 no. Before Golden Globus, he's so famous, and he's really old now. But he's still going. It's not the Troma guy. Oh, Roger Corman. Roger Corman.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So he started off
Yeah, we know
under
him.
Roger Corman, and then he got his first directing gig, which was Piranha 2, I think. You know, which is to quote the guy himself. Yeah, Jamin called it out. Yeah, thanks, Jamin. Roger Corman. He called it out as the best flying piranha film you're ever going to see, which I thought was quite funny, but quite tyrannical to work for because he wants everything done his own way and has to be done a certain way. But then when you see his results, you can see why he wants things done in a certain way. Then he goes on to do Terminator, and off the back of Terminator, he gets Aliens, and kind of the rest is history. And James Cameron shoots are known for being quite fractious. He certainly had a lot of problem with the British crew on Aliens because he was Canadian and didn't understand tea breaks, which is an essential part of union work here. They have to have their hours, and they can't not have their hours because of the union. And if they and all that, and also they didn't like him because they loved Ridley Scott, and who's this Canadian dude coming over here thinking he can do aliens? There was a lot of that. But what's my point? My point is, if you look at Terminator or Aliens or True Lies or The Abyss or Titanic, all of these films have incredible shit going on. Cybernetic killers from the future coming to kill you, hordes of mindless drones with acid for blood coming to get you. You're a super spy who's living a double life, whatever it is. But at the core, even Avatar, actually, at the core of all of his stories are what Blake Snyder, Blake Snyder, Beat Sheet, and all that, he calls primal things. So Terminator, yes, has a robot that's coming, or a cyborg that's coming to kill you, but it's a love story. It's about Sarah Connor falling in love with Kyle Reese and the ramifications of that. The same with Titanic is about a guy who's trying to get above his station. The literal pauper fancies the queen kind of story. Abyss is about an estranged husband and wife realizing they love each other again. These things. It's the same as Die Hard. Actually, it's the same story as Die Hard, and that's what makes Cameron so successful. Is you can do all this amazing shit and these bombastic actions and pushes the boundaries of cinema. People forget how amazing Aliens was at the time. People forget how amazing Terminator 2 was at that time. We'd never seen anything like that before. It's so rare now to see stuff that we've never seen before in cinema, but James Cameron consistently delivered that. So to your point, when James Cameron walks into an office and says, "Yeah, look, I'm going to do this thing," and Titanic, and yeah, I'm going to need 400 million. I don't think anybody would have batted an eye. So fuck it, you're James Cameron. You can have as much money as you want because everybody knows that every time he releases a film, it becomes the number one film of all time, pretty much. And if not, it's remembered. Most of Cameron's catalog are storied moments in film history that no one will ever forget. No one will ever forget the Terminator. No one will ever forget Aliens. No one will ever forget Titanic, and no one has ever forgotten Avatar. Now, it might not have the same cachet as it once had, when 3D was new and it was all this. Who knows how this movie is going to do? I'm interested to see it, and I hope it does well.
Hold on, Russ. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry, my mother was speaking to me as you were speaking to me, so I just had to find out she was okay. She's fine, and I agree with you, Russ. Certainly, Avatar is not going to be matched by another filmmaker. Titanic isn't going to be. The Abyss is going to be the technology to do the facial the way that they created individuals' faces in the water at that time was very unusual. I remember this alien entity. I don't even know what it is. And it's not an alien entity. It's an Earthling, an Earth entity because it's on Earth, right in the oceans.
No,
When it would,
they're aliens, and they send through the pseudopod thing, and it forms their faces, right? And we're talking about the abyss because I keep losing you, Rita. I'm sorry, you keep sort of cutting in and out.
oh, was it? Were they aliens? I thought that it was just creatures that lived in the
No, no,
ocean.
no, they're aliens. There's a spaceship down there. No spoilers. It was from the
Oh,
80s.
okay, so that is a spaceship. I just thought that was just creatures that inhabited. Okay, so I got this one all wrong, but the point is that technology where it would recognize, the crew's face and imitate the face was the coolest thing ever. And I thought that was something that I hadn't really seen, except for maybe in Solaris, where it replicated everybody's, most intimate partners in space. And most of them were alone in space. They didn't have their partners with them, or in one of the cases, one of the partners had died. So to see, a copy of your spouse who's deceased in space at a time when you're really lonely, like it was very lonely out there, which is something that a lot of these space films don't necessarily talk about, the loneliness that an individual experiences. How do you deal with the loneliness out there?
Yeah,
There was
that was a cool film. I mean, I saw the original years ago, and I saw the George Clooney one, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a horrible film to watch, and I think that's kind of the point. It's you're not supposed to be going, it's not one of those films, but it was brilliant. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
um and so yeah, Mario Lopez says he liked it, and he doesn't care about the critics were saying was unfair. Yeah, I thought it was unfair too. I was actually more surprised that people didn't say, wow, that's amazing. So they can communicate using these what looks like fiber optics. They can communicate using that, and there's more connections than the human brain. Like it certainly was something that was very different, and I thought it was fun for there. And I also want to mention Tom Jr. Jackson. We got it,
There you go, Rod.
guys. Buy Rod Thunderheart. It's Frisian Press. See Through Love, guys. See Through Love. That sounds like a title to a movie.
And
Yes.
great
So
work
there
by
is.
Tom for digging that out. Nice one, Tom.
Thank you so much, Tom. Um, and also thank you to watch Positive Fandom on Twitch as well if you prefer Twist. Oh, okay. Jamin D says, I'm just here to enjoy your awesome faces and smiles. LOL party on. Well, thank you, Jamin D. It's always a pleasure to have you here. I so appreciate your support, Jamin. It makes such a big difference here to the channel. Thank you so much for all of that. And everything. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is very interesting. Russ, this is Russ's website, guys, russellwhitfield.com, to find out more about Russ. And if you want to get in contact with Russ and find out more about his Gladiatrix books, guys. So please do check that out when you get an opportunity. Retro Nerd Girl talks about Albert Finney in the 1970 version of Scrooge. It's a treasured Christmas movie for my mom and I. We have so many memories of singing along to all of the songs. And I think Albert Finney's voice, to hear him sing, he has this heartfulness in his voice that is so satisfying to hear. What about you, Russ? Have you seen the 1970s Scrooge with Albert Finney? Have you actually watched it? Do you know about it?
Yeah, I was just thinking as you were talking about it, I was thinking, I bet Lance and I are getting sort of flashbacks to ITV Christmas because they would play that stuff all the time on the BBC or ITV. So yeah, I remember seeing it as a child. I don't remember much about it, but I do remember it.
Yes, and that Scrooge, thank you, Tom, is on Prime. So I'm gonna pop it on, and my mother will start singing too, whether I ask her to be quiet or not. So there will be that. And Ron Thunderheart has just sent us $2 super sticker. Thank you so much, Rod. Thunderheart, thank you. Your story that you have published is inspiring, guys. Check out Frisian Press. We have the link here in the chat. Go ahead and support another creator here, guys. This is what we love to do here on Sunday Brunch. It makes a great Christmas gift. So do consider that, guys. And thank you so much, Rod. We appreciate the support. Stubble McShave says Titanic turns a quarter of a century next Monday. Yeah. And I remember going to see that movie in the movie theater. At the time, I was working in Manhattan for I used to work in the financial sector. So I was working in Manhattan, going to Manhattan every day. And it was such a different time 25 years ago. Oh gee. And I remember a friend of mine from high school came to join me in the city, meaning Manhattan, to the movie after work. So I was in Manhattan. I said, "Yeah, let's meet and we can go on the east side and see the movie there." And that's where I saw the Titanic for the very first time. And I was just blown away by it. It has really remained to be one of my favorite films. I'm not at home, but in my house, I have a colossal size poster of the Titanic in my hallway. That when I sit in the living room, you can see it.
Hmm.
So even though it's in the hallway, I can kind of like turn this way and see a giant ship, and I'm like, yes. So,
Giant Leo.
but yeah, well, he's actually not on that poster. It's just the ship.
Oh,
But
right.
yes,
Okay.
I do also. If you open up my bedroom, if you like, if for my bedroom door, if you open up the bedroom door and you go into the hallway, I have a giant poster of Leo and of Kate in front of the ship, and it says something like "Nothing on earth can keep them apart." It's one of the movie
Mhm.
posters. But one of these days, what I want to do is get a picture with Leo and with Kate together, and have it autographed or signed to go with a lot of my Titanic
Well,
memorabilia.
I'm just saying, if I was opening up your bedroom door, I doubt I'd be looking at Leo and Kate. I'm just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. I'm sure anybody else that's opening up your bedroom door has the last thing on them. Maybe they've got something Titanic on their mind, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah,
Oh my goodness. Uh, thanks for that, Russ.
no problem, no problem. It's getting saucy here on Positive Fandom this pre-Christmas Sunday. What can I say? And I haven't even been drinking.
Oh my gosh. Wow. This is definitely a different approach this Sunday brunch. We're getting our kicks on Sunday brunch
We
this morning.
sure are.
And certainly is very interesting. Um Punk Tracy says Cameron also did the Dark Angel TV series.
Mm.
Oh yeah, and I thought Jessica Alba was wonderful in that. It had a great run. Certainly was a nice series. Um, And Tom Jr. Jackson says, "Oh, by the way, The Abyss is in 4K next year. It's been confirmed." Um, about time. That should be in 4K. That should be in 3D.
Mm.
Even though some people think 3D is kind of corny, but no, think about that. Think about
The
that.
thing coming out
That.
of the yeah.
Oh my God, could you imagine that? Just like, and you'd be like, "Whoa!" I mean, if they really want to do something cool, they could say, "Make your face on it's like water emulator," where it's like, "Oh, me. It's emulating me." Like, just they could have a lot of fun. It would make a great video game. And I'm
But
sorry, I'm
yeah,
always into
he's
this video.
I think that guy's made so much money now. I'm sure he had stake in all of his films. Like I know Arnold made a fortune out of Terminator. Um, yeah, he probably got paid a little bit for that too, Mario. But I just think this whole movie making thing now is, I don't think he particularly cares anymore in terms of what people think and if he's controversial or not. He wants to tell a story and he wants to use certain technology to do it in a certain way and prove that this is the first time this stuff has been done. And I'm sure that Avatar will have stuff in it that we probably haven't seen before. But like you said, he is this kind of he's sort of turned himself into almost like a fantasy character now. He's a multimillionaire that occasionally makes movies, but is more interested in pushing the boundaries of science and going off down to the Marianas Trench. I mean, he is kind of like you know uh, a modern day Hemingway. He's an adventurer, isn't he? And he's got all the talent in the world. And yeah, so he said something controversial. I think James Cameron can probably get away with saying something a little bit controversial because that guy, and I can't speak for everybody in the chat, but I would say that he has had such a profound effect on so many of our lives. We're into what we're into in a big way because of James Cameron, right? I remember going to see Aliens in the cinema with my mate Chris. We used to go to Leicester Square every fucking weekend to go watch that film. So often they got to know us in the cinema and they gave us all of the hallway stuff and the posters and the 10 by 8 that they just take it. You guys are complete nerds. But yeah, he's had a massive effect on us, and I really hope that Avatar is as as good as they, you know, is great. I hope it's great, and I hope it makes billions of dollars, and it's a fun day out for everybody and spreads a little happiness as it goes by.
Well, I and Tom Jr. Jackson says Ghost of the Abyss is a great doc that he did with Bill Paxton. It's one of my favorite docs. I love that documentary. And any documentary that has to do with the Titanic. And I have like maybe 20 versions of not the James Cameron Titanic, but I have all the other versions of every Titanic film in addition to, because I was actually a fan of the Titanic before James Cameron made that film. I was a huge fan of Robert Ballard and the French government who co-discovered, the rediscovery of the Titanic in the ocean. And I watched when they discovered it or some kind of broadcast. So I was already into the Titanic and overall naval disasters in general.
A Night to Remember.
Or, ship disasters, whatever. Liners, yes, A Night to Remember, ocean liner disaster films already. There was a famous one called Raise the Titanic, which was quite a fantasy, very unrealistic, but I liked that film. So
the Poseidon Adventure, Beyond the Poseidon Adventure.
Yes, all of it. There must the morning after, guys. So yes, all of that. Shelley Winters swimming and then not making it. There were just all this stuff. And even the end part where they pop out of the bottom and the helicopter comes to rescue them, even fascinated me seeing the hull of the ship. So I liked that genre already. So I was already into this. So I should make that everybody very aware. I have memorabilia of some of this stuff from the 80s. So my original National Geographic, when they first discovered the Titanic, and I have that hanging. Okay, I'm not going to talk about Titanic anymore. You guys obviously know I like the Titanic. I am so sorry. But I had to share it with my community here, guys, because you guys know what I'm talking about. And yes, Sean Holmes, football is translated to soccer in the US. Absolutely. That is what we're talking about. And thank you, Jamie. I know you already did this. Mike Alito says the Premier League schedules a bushel of matches on Boxing Day. Even I watch. It's actually cool to watch. Now, Russ, to ask you this question. I remember watching football, I guess maybe in the late 80s, early 90s. And there used to be these announcers, and I don't know whether it was just from South America or whatever it was, but whenever they would score a goal, he would just do that really loud goal thing that would last like, it was like super long.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I always kind of liked that. I think they made it exciting and fun to watch, and they tried to bring him to do broadcasting in the US, I think, at some time, and he did. He actually did it in English, and it was equally good. But I don't know if the United States necessarily has the same passion for the professional one. But I've been watching I guess maybe since the late 80s or 90s. There it's something to think about. Like I said, it feels like the timing is weird, but I'm sure Qatar was happy that they got it, Qatar, or however you say it. So yes, and thank you, Tom, for letting us know about thing. Now Nathan says True Lies is streaming on Peacock. Can't wait for Avatar: The Way of Water. Yeah, True Lies was also another classic, also by Cameron, right? Russ.
Sorry, I'm just reliving Jamie Curtis.
She was wonderful in
that movie.
But remember, people were very skeptical about it. Jamie Lee Curtis seems to be able to anything, but people were very skeptical about the pairing of the two of them. And honestly, they had chemistry. It did feel like they were a husband and wife team. Now, I don't know why they had that, but I think maybe she has just on-screen chemistry with Arnold, which is not easy to have. I'm sorry, guys, but sometimes he feels a little cold. They had this connection, and it was like almost a sensual connection, and it worked really well. And her slapstick, she's a little slapstick in it, and he was a little slapstick in it. But in the end, seeing her or whoever hung from that helicopter, it's probably one of the stunt women, Russ, hanging from that helicopter, you couldn't deny that this was an exciting thing. They didn't go too far with it. Like, it was just, she wasn't. It was just this exciting adventure for the couple. And I think that, seeing things like that, we haven't really gotten as many of those fun
I guess
things to look at.
It's kind of like this, isn't it? Our James Cameron writes amazing script shock. said nobody in the world ever. You know, directs amazing movie by Jay. You know,
Absolutely, and hello,
oh hey Yash,
yeah, hello, Yash Astaba, hi, and did we say hello to Dennis
we did
Mason?
not. All
Did we
right,
say
then.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. Hello, Dennis Mason, so good to see you this morning, and Thunder Hearts says James Cameron understands storytelling, character development, absolutely, um, something to think about, oh, and Nathan talks about appropriate brightness. Yeah, I am certainly hoping that we see that. I really do hope that they illuminate this one has to be right. Jamin D talks about how he's over 70. Let's give him some slack. In my book, even if I don't agree with whatever they say, if they are over 65, I just let things go. And like any other older people, come on, guys. Yeah, it's something to consider. Let's go ahead and respect him for the incredible creator and adventurer that he is. Darth says it's an amazing movie. However, the themes have compelling undertones for a Marxist. He wrote extensively about the plowing of English farmland to make room for factories. Yes. Um, and Yash really likes Terminator 2. Yeah. This is there's so much of his stuff that is amazing. Thank you, Yash. Thank you. And Mikey Lito, you did have a comment about where it was filmed in Baja. Titanic was filmed in Baja, California, I'm assuming, or is it in Mexico? It's down there somewhere, just a little bit south of here.
Mm.
Um, where I am in LA right now. But I do want to mention that it was a huge taking. And you know what other film was filmed in that, I believe in the same place, was Master and Commander. And there's a documentary on YouTube where they talk about the making of that film and how the crew was there together in Mexico and how they bonded like a real group of sailors, which I absolutely love. And guys, I am going to go ahead and play my theme just for a little bit, just so you guys know we are here at Positive Fandom. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to play my intro, outro. I just whenever, honestly, it's wherever I want to play it. So we'll be right back. Okay, we are back, everybody. It is Positive Fandom. It is Sunday Brunch. This is the second hour of Sunday Brunch, and we are all talking about a lot of different things. Certainly something to think about. Yash says or talks about how Terminator is a great sci-fi slasher horror action movie. It certainly does have a lot of people getting cut up and things like that. Dennis Mason says, let's do an Avatar watch party right now. Well, if you want to see an Avatar watch party, jump onto Lorena Creole's channel where we did an Avatar watch party a few weeks ago in anticipation of Avatar. And also, Mary Lopez talks about Scrooged. Scrooged is the movie. That is also another classic. I really like that. The Outcast Creative says that he did a Scrooge marathon, every version, saving the definitive version of it until the last. The Muppet Xmas Carol. I saw Billy Murray's version. Bill Murray. Yeah. On the same day, it took 22 people to see Die Hard. Oh, wow. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people to go and see Die Hard at once. Yeah, Nathan, those Titanic memories. And my mother turns to me, she's like, do you have to watch so many Titanic films? And I'm like, yes. So, I don't know. I don't know. Is it nerdy to like the Titanic, Russ? Is this a nerd thing or not?
It's a total nerd thing, but this is a total nerd channel, so why the hell not? I mean, there's me, Max, waxing lyrical about watching Invasion USA with Outcast Creative on Christmas Day. That's totally nerdy, but what the hell?
Well, Luminara
Hey, there she is.
43 is with us today. Hello. How are you, Luminara? It's so good to see you here on Sunday Brunch. And Luminara 843 says he has shaped cinema.
Mm,
Yes, yes. People are trying to recreate this, even on, I think it was, I don't know whether it was Andor, it may not have been Andor. I think it was the Kenobi series, but I could be wrong. I don't know why I can't place it. Where they had a scene where you saw some of the K2SO looking aliens, but it looked like something from Terminator.
that was
So there
Andor,
was a
yeah.
scene where, these K2SOs, they actually have a different name, but they look like K2SO and they're walking. And it was like, I immediately heard the Terminator music when I saw that. And I actually wasn't ever afraid of the K2SOs, but it made me afraid of them because they looked just like Terminator. It was a homage to Terminator.
Absolutely.
So yeah, even modern series are doing things like that. Thank you, guys. Please do hit the like button. Oops, and subscribe to the channel. Um, we so appreciate it. Oh my gosh, Mario Lopez says that he saw Aliens 12 times in the movies. RM and Russ, do you happen to have a movie that you have seen many times in the cinema? Yes, I have seen the Titanic in the cinema when it came out and when it's been shown. Also, The Wrath of Khan is one that I've probably seen a lot of times now in the theater. I've seen different versions of it, and I recently saw the one in Fathom Events where it was the perfect version. But I have seen other versions that were not so good or were not illuminated right or whatever the problem was. It wasn't a good experience. So I recently resaw that. Russ, what about you?
Aliens, I saw so many times. I couldn't tell you. Like I said, Chris and I used to go like every week. We'd go up there and watch it, and sometimes twice. That one, Rocky 3. I was only young when Rocky 3 came out. I think I must have been 10 or 11 when it came out, and I remember seeing it with my dad, and he went off to the pub and just left me in the cinema, and I think I watched it like 3 times on the one day. Um, and I saw it many times. And then my stepdad actually got me a pirate copy of it on video for Christmas that year. So that was like worn out. I love that movie. And Superman. I saw
Well,
Superman
you
1978
make a
many
good
many
point.
times.
I have seen that film many, many times. I actually saw more films when I started to work at a movie theater,
Hmm.
when I was a teenager, and I saw a lot of films, but those were mainly horror films like Friday the 13th, the later versions. Um, so I did see a lot of that way. I saw The Little Mermaid probably about 70 times because it was in the theater. And every time it was on, I would just go and watch the film because I liked it so much. Uh, so there is that. But yes, working in a movie theater affords that you can see movies a lot more than what you would normally see. So I had that advantage. And hello to Rogue Thinker.
All right,
Hi,
Rogue.
Rogue Thinker says, greetings. RM, Russ, Tom, and the rest of the chat. Good morning. Well, good morning to you, Rogue Thinker. Um, yes, we have covered the Avatar section. Yes, we did, Rogue Thinker. So rewind and listen to it. And I agree about titanium. I hope that we don't have to see that anymore. Oh, Retro Nerd Girl says, I had always wanted to see Charlton Heston and Arnold together in a movie, and we got it in True Lies. Love that film.
Yeah, I haven't seen it
Yes.
in such a long time. I don't remember Charlton Heston in it.
Mhm.
I'm kind of blinded by the Jamie Lee Curtis scene. That's all I can think of. And the guy getting blown up at the end with the rocket and the Harrier and all that nonsense. But I really would like to see it again. Actually, I haven't seen True Lies in the longest time. I remember Bill Paxton was just so funny in it. And it was just like such a sleazy ass thing to do, and it was like totally believable. I could actually imagine someone pulling that shit. Especially in the days of like today, like with Tinder and stuff like that. You can imagine turning up on a Tinder date and this guy like pretending to be a spy and like sort of hooking people into it, like the Tinder swindler, only with spies.
Yes, absolutely. That is something to think about. And Dennis says, "Are you in LA? We're in LA. He's in Hollywood." Hi, Dennis. I'm in a place called Norwalk, and I'm going to be here for a little while. So good to see you, Dennis. And Broke Thinker's talking about Master Commander, a great film. Yeah, they should have covered more of the books. Absolutely, they should have continued after the success of the first one. What do you think, Russ?
I think it's prime for an Amazon or Netflix or somebody mini series, or series. That'd be awesome. I think that format might lend itself well to that sort of thing. If they sort of stuck to the spirit of the books as opposed to making it about something else, which is, I guess we have to caveat everything with that nowadays. But Amazon have proven that they can do it with things like the Terminal List and Reacher and all that stuff. So Amazon money behind Master and Commander, I'd fucking buy that for $1, 100%. Yeah, I'd love to see that. It was such a great film. It's very patriotic, for being English. It was the time when our empire was on the rise and all of that stuff, and rah rah rah, Union Jack. Yeah, it was good stuff.
Absolutely. Excuse me. I this is what happens with these late nights. Um, yes, Sean says, I loved James Cameron's Alita Battle Angel. After watching Alita, I was wondering if it had the movie Ghost in the Shell would get a crossover. Yeah, I have no idea, but I've watched Ghost in the Shell, the anime,
Hmm.
and I liked it. But I haven't watched Battle Angel or the Ghost in the Shell with Scarlett Johansson. So it's something to think about. Those films are also not easy to make without pissing off a lot of people
Mm,
if it's not done right.
yeah, we do live in the era of the professionally pissed off, I guess. And I saw the Scarlett Johansson movie, and I'm not a huge anime guy, so I didn't find it offensive. I enjoyed it, but there are aspects of our society these days where people just getting pissed off for no reason. I was reminded of that actually. Do you want to touch on this one from Mikey, and then I'll kick off?
Yes, Mikey says, I'd like to mention my favorite version of the Titanic story is the 1948 English film A Night to Remember, which I own. Although more modern folks seem to enjoy the Cameron film, so I know that version very well. Mikey, I have watched it a lot, and it got a lot of attention in 1958. I don't know
Kenneth
whether it
Moore, was
won.
it?
Yes,
I
I
seem
believe
to remember him
so.
sitting on the chair at the end like that, right? Is that right? I've got that memory from my childhood. It's a black and white movie, and I just remember he's got like
Yes.
a white polo neck on, and he's just sat there as the ship's going down.
Yes, and, it was a great film. It got a lot of attention in 1958. It was a big deal. Certainly a fantastic story. I like any documentaries, to do with the Titanic as well. So there's a bunch IMAX films where they go back down. I think Yuri is one of the guys who pilots the vehicle to go down into, and it's like, it's you feel like you're in it because it was an IMAX that they made where it's supposed to feel immersive.
Hmm.
But any documentary like What Sank the Titanic, Titanic's Fatal Flaw, all of those documentaries, and there's a game called Titanic Out of Time that I play a lot. Have the board. I have all of those things. So it's not just about the film. I like the entire, thing of it, as well as the scientific discussions about, there may have been a flaw in the Titanic and all this sort of stuff. So I've watched all those documentaries. And I hope they make more of them so I can continue to watch them. Oh, Punk talks about the Doctor Who Christmas specials, which I used to love watching. What about you, Russ?
I'm never really a Whovian. Like I'm very very ignorant of Doctor Who. I remember watching it as a kid. I tried to get into the reboot, but I just with Eccleston, and I say the reboot, of course that was like 20 years ago now or something like that, wasn't it? But uh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. And Darth Plato talks about not seeing the Wrath of Khan in the theater. So I did see it originally in the theater a long time ago, not when it first came out, but before, like they showed it. And that version I saw was horrible. So I recently went to see a Fathom event. It's called
Hmm.
Fathom. I took my mom and I got to see it in the theater for the first time correctly. The previous versions, like the way it looked, it was too dark and I couldn't see it. So this one was perfect. And I don't know whether it was remastered. I have no idea. All I know is that it was incredible. And it was like, honestly, the first time that I've seen it because this version, the way it was presented was correct. Had somebody introduce it and talk about the Wrath of Khan, which was kind of cool. We knew it was not a movie that was made yesterday, but it still looked amazing. So there is that. So, Russ, there are some other things that we wanted to talk about, and thanks everybody in the chat um, for I've got to speak to you, Mike Alito, about time when I take a trip out here because I know you lived out here. Certainly something to think about, but Russ, there's a lot going on outside of James Cameron's incredible impact on Hollywood. And that is this crazy kind of weird thing with Jennifer Lawrence. And we all remember Jennifer Lawrence from a lot of films. She's had a very successful career. She's been in a lot.
Mhm.
She's even played a Russian spy, right?
Red Sparrow, yeah.
She's been in, a lot of comic book superhero things as she was the new I can't remember this character, the Blue Lady. She
Oh,
picked that up from Rebecca Romijn
yeah,
Stamos.
yeah, yeah. I can't remember.
The X-Men.
Yeah, what was her name? Not Vogue.
Mystique.
Mystique, that's it.
Yeah, I just remembered it now. She picked up Mystique. She was not Rebecca Romijn Stamos. I do want to just put that out there. I felt Rebecca Romijn Stamos did maybe the best job as Mystique I've seen. And of course, Jennifer Lawrence played a younger Mystique. So maybe that's why she was different, but there'll never be another Rebecca Romijn Stamos as Mystique for me.
Yeah.
I thought that she was, super sexy in that role. And you're blue. It's like, how can you be sexy and be blue? And what she was supposed to be this character, which was incredible, and she was raw. I loved Mystique like that. I loved the raw Mystique. She was so powerful, even after, and it actually broke my heart in the movies when she got hit and became human. I was like, oh man,
yeah,
that was kind of sad. And then she kind of, at least in the movies, they depicted her as kind of telling what happened, and I'm like, that's messed up, man. Don't make Mystique do that. This woman has been done everything that everybody's ever wanted to do, including copy. She can make herself be anything she wants. But Jennifer Lawrence also played in a famous series called The Hunger Games, which was it was pretty good. I mean, there that time, Russ, it seemed like there were a lot of shows, things like Divergence with dystopian futures, and you have to give up your firstborn or whatever they're asking for. It was a real stir the tiles kind of scenario. Do you remember that film? Was it Dragon Slayer, where everybody had to put in a tile into the
God, yeah. You're going
bucket,
back a ways now.
and they go, stir the tiles. And then, and it was that kind of thing. So it kind of felt like that because, you have to surrender a person in for Hunger Games to be that person. They say, okay, we're calling this person, you have to show up and then do what we say the game. So, I kind of always associated that with that, but Jennifer Lawrence, I guess she's I'm not quite sure what's on her mind in regards to yes, I have been to the Titanic, not the Titanic Museum in Belfast, which I am going to go to next year. I've been to the exhibit and have seen the artifacts and everything. Yes. And I did survive. Thank you, Pirate Queen. Sorry about that, guys. So what am I saying?
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. I'm a huge fan of hers. She hasn't really done any new, right, Russ? Like she's kind of kept it very, she's been lucky. And I'm not saying that she has to do nudity, but what I'm saying is she's been successful without having to expose herself.
Did massive nudity in Red Sparrow. Film guy's talking about it. The film guy's talking about it. He's going, yeah, I know my favorite scene in Red Sparrow. So yeah, it's our favorite scene too.
See it. So so she has done some nudity. That's good.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah, it's pretty full on as well, but it's not in like a sexy context. Like she's like a super spy and they're sort of breaking her down and in some pretty unpleasant ways, but she's certainly done the full frontal and all that stuff.
Well, is it so to the nudity that we see in
I'm sorry, I lost you there. What did you say?
Is it similar kind of nudity to what we saw with Scarlett Johansson in that movie where she's
yeah, an alien, yeah, kind of, but no, she's they're sort of giving her a rough time. They're sort of torturing her basically in one of the scenes. Um,
Well, I didn't know. And do you recommend that film?
what, Red Sparrow? Yes, she's
Yes.
great. She's really great in it.
Okay.
She's a good little actress. I think, you know, I can't say she's a great actress because she's still too young to have crossed that threshold. But we were talking a little while ago about, you know, the way things are today. So Jennifer Lawrence is doing an interview, I think, with I think it was with Variety, one of the ones where it's a sit down film talk video, and
I'm
she's
sorry. Hello, the film guy. I just want to say hi. Hi, the film guy. That's all I want to say. Okay. Go ahead.
um and they're asking her questions about stuff, and she says, you know, well, I was one of you know, the first person to do this sort of like, you know, action heroine stuff. It wasn't allowed before then, and you know, and then she went off on a bit of a virtue signal rant about it. Um, but this comment about being the first female to sort of lead an action franchise or whatever was instantly picked upon by certain quarters of the internet who just dogpiled her, like literally dog. What about Sarah Connor? What about Ripley? Ah! And it's his usual knee-jerk reaction to what this kid turned around and said in an interview, not really thinking about films that, you know, came out before she was born. Right? Let's take that into context. Now you can say on the one, oh, she should be educated on cinema history. Yeah, maybe she should. She was asked a question in an interview and answered it. So there's a couple of things going on there. My daughter's 18, right? She only knows about Sarah Connor and Ripley because, you know, I've sat her down and made her watch. Made her watch. We've watched Aliens, we've watched Predator, we've watched Terminator, we've watched all the things together. She knows who they are. I couldn't say that about many other parents or most other parents. Yeah, maybe in this crowd, but you know, it's not something your garden common right mum and dad are going to do with their little girl, are they? They're going to watch Disney Princess or whatever. So there's that side of it. Also, Sam loved those films. So to Sam, my daughter, the whole I was going to say Mockingbird, Hunger Games thing. Um, you know, she was iconic for a generation of girls, and for them, she was the first action hero. I mean, you know, it, once you get past Ripley and Sarah Connor and Alice out of Resident Evil and Celine out of Underworld, my favorite franchise. Um, as you know, um, you are sort of casting around a little bit. You can call out Dark Angel, you can call out The Long Kiss Goodnight, you can call out, but there aren't many, and there certainly aren't many franchises that are led by women. You know, so you've got Aliens, Terminator, Underworld, Resident Evil, and Hunger Games. I'm sure chat will correct me, and I'm sure there's a bunch more. But I just, for me, it was kind of just like endemic of what's going on today. Fucking hell, she made a statement, and she's been absolutely castigated, like completely shredded for saying this. And I think all she was meaning, far be it for me to put words in her mouth, and you know, all right. And she went off and did the whole virtue signaling stuff afterwards. And she's a kid to me, Rogue. I'm 52. Um, you know, I just think it was the reaction to what she said was taken so far out of context, and yeah, it was just all too much. And you know, to a certain generation, she was their first action heroine, in the same way that Ripley was for us in the 80s and the 70s, and Sarah Connor was in the 80s to the 90s. So that's what I think.
Well, I'm glad you gave us your opinion about it because it has been getting a lot of attention. And, you know, I think unfortunately, it's been getting a lot of unnecessary negative attention. Jennifer Lawrence, you know, even if she made a comment like that, um, she's not malicious.
It didn't come across as malicious, but the response to it has been completely malicious, and I just don't understand it. Why?
Yeah. Well, here Mario Lopez is saying, I wonder if she apologized for what she said. If so, there's no reason to attack her anymore. We all have a less good day in our lives. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Mario,
that's right.
it's something to think about. Has you know, honestly, there's absolutely no reason to be upset with with Jennifer Lawrence. You know, this is the chick who tripped twice when she went to accept her Academy Award and got up and was like, "Oh, I tripped." You know, it was kind of like very casual. She doesn't have a bad bone in her body, but I think that to ask Jennifer Lawrence about, you know, these roles which she's playing, which have been incredibly varied and numerous.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know whether she's the person who knows every single film that's ever been made. Like it's like what you said, Russ, it's a great expectation to think that someone would know everything like that. We don't really know. Exactly what, you know, many of these actors have their degrees in fine arts and they're performers, but we don't really know a lot of times when people get asked these questions about like, well, what is your legacy, you know, like people will plug them and say, what do you think, how significant is what you're doing in this genre? And it's like it's kind of an unfair question because I'd have to do research to myself to answer some of those questions properly, and I do when I do these shows like this one that you and I have, Russ, or Midnight Musings or Ladies of the PGS. I've already gone and done a bunch of research. So I'm not kind of coming in there asking questions off the cuff. And I think a lot of times when actors are being asked questions off the cuff, oftentimes they're on a set and they're thinking about something else, you know, it can be troublesome because the answers they give, you know, they may not be the most accurate answers. And, you know, there's going to be missteps. And I think that people, you know, should be able to sometimes overlook some things that go on.
Well, how many
Um,
times have you had an argument with someone or an altercation with someone in the street? Remember I told you about that woman that spat in my face in the car park, and you sort of, you know, and I'd love to say I came up with a pithy one-liner and you know absolutely slayed her and all that stuff. I didn't. I was just completely shocked. You know, and you walk away from it, and then all of the cool things you could have said in argument A, B, or C come to your mind after the event. So I just don't think that there was any malicious intent with what she said. I certainly don't think she was disrespecting Sigourney Weaver and anybody, you know, anybody else by saying what she said. It was a remark, and I stand by what I said. You know, to a certain generation of girls, she was this action hero, and if you remember, round about that time, that was the thing in Hollywood. They were doing all of these adaptations of those young adult books. You know, there was slightly different, but there was the Twilight one, and there was obviously Hunger Games, and there was a whole bunch of others that all had weird name about young adults with special powers that were fighting off against a dystopian government. They were all pretty similar,
mhm,
Convergent,
mhm.
Divergent, something like that. So yeah, I want to,
Yes,
yeah,
Divergent.
Divergent, right?
Yes, I love that one. Divergent, Convergent,
Yeah.
it had like a bunch the words kind of sounded similar, but it starred, I can't remember the actress's name, that really attractive man, British guy, and
Oh, Theo
Haley, is it
Jones,
Haley?
Theo
Um,
Theo Jones.
yes,
He was in
oh,
Underworld. See.
yes, yes, he
Mm.
is. It starred him and, I can't I'm sorry, guys, I have a little congestion, but it was good. I thought the Divergent film series was great, but it was very similar to, a lot of stuff that came out of that. The film guy says that Jennifer Lawrence got Anne Hathaway. She was put in onto many big things at once, and people disliked her, became she's successful too quick. Maybe. And Luminar 843 says, don't sleep on Pam Grier. Yeah. Obviously, who could forget Pam Grier? I watched a great documentary. I've seen most of her movies, and I watched an incredible sort of series on Turner Classic Movies. I don't know how to describe it. It was a special where she came in and talked to the folks from Turner Classics about her career and the impact that she's had on cinema.
Have you seen
And
the
it's one.
Arena with Pam Grier in it?
No, I haven't.
Female
No, I'm
Gladiator.
sure it was shown. But oh, okay. Then I have to check it out. But I can't remember all the films they showed that night because what Turner Classics did was that they show 2 or 3 of her films, and Coffee would be one of them, and, you know, but I will find that film and I will watch it. But yes, obviously Luminar, you make a very good point. And just some guy did a really nice clip where he showed all of the female, or a good portion of them, of which there were many. Um, I think that some people can just kind of look at things and just kind of forgive that, but it's something to think about. Um, yeah. Um, Rogue Thinker says that she's not a kid at 32 and said something dumb, but there's no reason to do more than chuckle. Yes, thank you,
Yeah,
Rogue
it's a
Thinker. I
good it's
couldn't
a
have.
good point, Rogue, isn't it? Okay, well, like I said earlier on, she's kid to me because I'm ancient. But you know, I just whether it was dumb or not, whether what and some of the things I think she says afterwards, I don't really think boys can relate to girls and all that, in action roles, and I don't think that's particularly true. And she had to do a sort of like feminism bit because of the current climate that we live in. But I just said, I just thought the reaction to it from certain quarters has just been mean spirited and somewhat distasteful, and left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth over saying it wasn't as if she'd have gone out there and been like queen bitch and said really uh, objectionable things hoping to get a reaction like the one woman on the G4 game thing or whatever went out there and really just was objectionable and
Yeah.
looking for a fight about it, then yeah, okay, then you're up, you've put yourself out there, you're looking for a fight, you're going to get one. This, not so much. This was just like, fucking hell, guys, come on, really? We're doing this now? So that was just my take on it. But yeah.
No, you make a good point. Yeah, and it's something to think about. The other thing that I wanted to say, getting back to this, or more or less, is where is it? Oh, darn, I lost it. Okay. Oh, yes. Someone did mention that they love the Underworld movie. Those were great. And Heath from Heath's Tabletop and Fantasy. Hi, Heath. Heath has his own channel here on YouTube, and please do check that out. If you are a fan of tabletop games, if you enjoy fantasy, if you want to learn how to play some of these games, certainly do check out Heath's channel.
Hmm.
And it's good to see you here, Heath. Heath says, I would count Captain Janeway. Whether or not Star Trek is action or not may be up for debate, but I think that would be in the weeds. I think Captain Janeway would certainly count. Yeah, why not? I mean, I remember when they talked about how she was going to be, a captain, and Kate Mulgrew. I had no idea what she was going to be like. And even Kate Mulgrew admits that she didn't know what Star Trek was. But boy, she played a great captain. She was great to watch. She felt like she was in charge. And her relationship with Chakotay and a lot of the Bailana, a lot of the characters on there, it worked very well. So, there is that. Certainly something to think about. They did a lot of battles with aliens. So there was something to that. Darth Plato mentions Bridget Nielsen. Of course, Grace Jones. Who could forget the Conan series and Red Sonja series, where you needed to have these women? My gosh, we haven't seen a Grace Jones style woman in a while, nor have we seen a Bridget Nielsen woman. Certainly, they still, I think Grace Jones was still on tour. I think she was at Creamfields a few years ago performing.
Hmm.
And Bridget was on a reality show the other day.
Was she
Maybe it
really?
was about, yeah, maybe it might have been 5 or 10 years ago, with a rapper, where it was like a love story between the two of them.
Oh.
So she's still doing work. I mean, their legends and their legacies are really, really strong. And it's going to be hard to match that, guys. It's hard to see or even get close to that. Um, but I think it's something to think about. And I certainly do have to say, it's inspiring to see these actresses who are doing those roles. But the thing about it too, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Russ, I think that was an era where they had people who would find talent. And recently the conversation, or someone had asked a question, and it might have been on Musings, about people finding talented actors, finding talent creatives. And is there anybody who's out there looking for the next big talent? And I almost wondered, we talked about, or people say about, this is the last action star, or the last movie star. And we're kind of going back to stars that we know, like Tom Cruise, or who was more or less incredibly successful this year with Top Gun Maverick. Is there anybody out there looking for new stars, recruiting new talent? I don't know. It used to be a job that people took very seriously. Maybe even some of the casting agent people would do that, look for new stars for people doing that. But I don't know how things work now. And since we don't have that mechanism in place, maybe that's why we're not seeing that talent like we used to. What do you think, Russ? I mean, who is even the it girl right now? Who's the it girl? There used to be an it girl, remember?
Yeah.
And this would be a woman. There was a it guy as well, but this used to be a woman who was in all the films and she was the hottest thing in Hollywood. It feels like we don't even have that anymore. What do you think, Russ?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because the landscape has changed so much, and individual movies, are not so much of a big deal as they once were. So, I mean, I think it was Tarantino called this out, and this was sort of backed up by the actor that plays Falcon. Remind me of his name. Come on, he's brilliant. Anthony Mackie backed this
Yes.
up, and both of them sort of said, Chris Evans or Anthony Mackie or whoever, aren't the stars. Fucking Captain America's the star, right? He's the star of that. Now, this isn't always true. I mean, you've got Henry Cavill. I think he has star power, but then outside of Superman, he did Napoleon Solo. What was that? What's that film called? Oh my god, Man from Uncle. Man
And
from
he
Uncle,
did,
which
and he also did, you're talking about Mackie, right? He did the second season of Altered Carbon as well.
yeah, yeah, which only had 2 seasons. So yeah, I classify Henry Cavill as a movie star, but does Henry Cavill bring in bums on seats? Are we going to watch Man of Steel or are we going to watch Henry Cavill? So I don't know, but the investment now to make a successful film it's just so risky. Trying to get money to make a film is, I don't know how people do it. I've been trying to get this film off the ground now for 5 years, and all I need is $4 million. And you think, that's punk, chump change in that. It's just trying to find someone to invest in it and believe in something new that isn't attached to something else that isn't going to guarantee them an ROI. The people are so risk averse. I
Yeah, I agree. And Heath from Geekverse says, I don't think it was malicious what Jennifer Lawrence said. I do think it spoke to an idea that certain people perceive themselves as fighting battles that have actually already been fought and won decades ago. Yes, it's perceived and imagined battles. And
oh,
there is a huge amount of pressure. And Russ, you and I have talked about this, about there seems to be a lot of pressure on young people on their shoulders to talk up and take on this fight that may not actually even theirs or even exist. And
I
it's
agree. I have
unfortunate
to,
because I know
yeah.
that
Sorry.
when I was a certain age, Russ, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about going to the next party or dating or, finishing, my case, my degree, things like that. I was not absolutely thinking about that any at all. Stella
Sorry, can
McShay
we go
says
back
there.
to that? Because he makes a really good point there. I think that people like Jennifer Lawrence, or indeed anybody that's in the public eye now, has to sing from that hymn sheet. And you're absolutely right, Heath. The equality thing, as I think Rob says this all the time, it was just reaching its natural point, be it with men and women or people of different races and different sexuality. It was just kind of equaling out. It was just, and nobody cared anymore. It's like, oh great, we'll do this and do that, and all of a sudden, boom, it became an issue again because reasons. But yeah, that is a very, very astute point. These things have been fought and won a long, long time ago, and now we just live in a climate where we have to keep bringing them up, often to the detriment. If you look at story, actually, and I've got a great example of this. I watched Willow today, a little bit of it, first episode,
Oh,
and story is suffering because of it. But also, what else is she supposed to say? What else was it Viola Davis was in The Woman King? What else was she supposed to say? I mean, I think that was a sort of bad decision to sort of make that film, right? Because of who the people were and all the rest of it. But conversely, and I'm against it. I thought it was a really stupid decision. But conversely, it's a movie, and if you're going to attack the Woman King because of what it is and what the actress was always going to say, then you attack Braveheart because that is entirely racist towards English people and tells lots of lies about things that we did and didn't do. And I could get all offended by it, but fucking hell, it's Braveheart, it's a movie, and it's a great movie, right? So yes, good point, Heath.
Absolutely. And thanks so much again, Heath. Guys, check out Heath's YouTube. Heath's Tabletop and Gaming, for sure. Also, Stubble says there was an element of truth in what Lawrence said. Women watch movies that have a cast with 100% men in them. Absolutely, we will watch those. We love casts with 100% men. It's great. There's a small group of men that don't watch movies. Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that. Yeah, I guess so. I love all male casts, so there is that.
I think we've
And
spoken about
also,
this so many times, isn't it? I think this is where we're missing a trick, or where the writers I'm not going to blame the writers. I'm going to blame the producers. Where the producers are missing a trick. Like, yes, we want strong, identifiable female leads. We've always wanted that. We've had that many times. As people have, I saw the chat going past. What about Kill Bill? What about Tomb Raider? What about this? What about yes? There's lots of them, but women also like to go to the cinema to watch hot guys. I mean, Aquaman was like proof of that, wasn't it? Like, people were just turning up in their droves to see Momoa with his shirt off, and why the hell not? And we're going there to see Aquaman kick some ass, so it's all good fun.
absolutely. And Mario Lopez talks about this article where they compared Vasquez to a bad version of a toxic male. And I would also say it's very similar to this article where somebody came out with a hit piece against Captain America on I think it was on the first day of the summer. I can't remember what holiday that is. Memorial Day. And it was a few years ago, and Az talked about how annoyed he was by it, and the guy pulled the article down, but it was done, as clickbait. But yeah, Vasquez is one of the most amazing characters ever created. And, she's just so damn good, and knows it, like
It's just too bad.
Yeah, and every one of those guys wants her. One guy, he's very quiet, they got an understanding, so to speak. But we've all seen, I think that relationship that we see where, guys, one or two guys want to, he's really chatting her up because he wants to sleep with her. But, he doesn't stand a chance because that other guy is already there taking the place. But it's still fun to see the banter because she's so damn sexy with her short hair and her fit body and her, kind of classy and sexy and snarky remarks are so good that everybody wants to be that woman. Like, every woman wants to have that power and command.
People say that James Cameron can't write dialogue. Yo, Vasquez, have you ever been mistaken for a man? No. Have you? Fucking hell. Come on, man.
And then the guys, like, they high five each other, and it's like, yeah,
just too bad.
And that the guy she's with is looking at the other guys like, yeah, you want this, don't you? Well, it's mine. Like, there's a lot of kind of fun play in relationships. We like to see things like this, even in the deadliest of action movies. We want to see that charisma and romance and appeal there. We want to see that. We don't want something completely devoid of some sort of intimacy or even an implied intimacy, which it is in this case, right, Russ?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the genius things, James Cameron, once again, one of the genius things he did with those actors was, yeah, they all went on boot camp together and all of that sort of thing. But actually, he pretty much allowed them to write their own backstory. So all of those characters, Rico did it, Mark did it, Jeanette did it. They all wrote backstory for their character. And interestingly, Mark and Jeanette decided that they were just really, really close mates, and there was nothing going on between them. But it was always ambiguous on screen. You didn't know, but the actors knew that Vasquez and Drake were not an item. That they'd come up together. They both were in prison, and et cetera, et cetera. And this was their route out was the Colonial Marines. But yeah.
Exactly. And of course, there is a series about Vasquez. I think it's an audio. It could be a book that was written.
There's a couple of novels. There's one about her sister. I think there's a new one that's just come out. But Alien Law is a bit like Star Wars lore. There's so much expanded universe stuff. I mean, I started buying the comics back in the 80s
Mhm,
when they came out, or the
mhm.
90s, I guess. But I didn't keep up with it, to be honest with you. But apparently the new book isn't so great.
I'm a huge Aliens fan, and you know, I like you, I actually play the video game Alien Isolation is one of my favorites, but I've seen the other games as well, along with anything else that comes out that's alien related. And there was another book that was narrated by Rutger Hauer, which I heard was pretty good. It's what happened between the point between aliens and Alien and Aliens, the first film and the second film. And apparently that's very good. And Bonzo Kilborn, I agreed, probably with someone coaching. And let's just be honest, actors are coached and what to say. No one is denying that. For sure. This is the link to Heath's Geekverse channel. Hey guys, please do subscribe to Heath's channel. I believe Heath has a number of channels, but do check out his information on his tabletop games. It is something to think about. Um, and I know some of you guys are talking about Voyager versus Deep Space Nine, and I think they're both very unique series that have something to offer. Oh my gosh.
There we go.
Thank you, Darth Plato.
Darth
Oh,
Plato speaks the truth. Truth
thank
to
you, Darth
power.
Plato. I do love that. So you know, there someone pointed out already here, and I think you both of you, Mike Alito and Bifer de Hobbit. Hello, Bifer, make a good
Hey,
point.
Buffer.
Mike Alito says it's Anna de Armas.
Yeah, good call. Wow,
Mhm.
yeah. She's pretty
And
easy on the eye.
By for to Hobbit says it's Anna Taylor Joy. And I agree with both of those. I think that they are pretty close in popularity. So we do have an it girl, but it does feel different, Russ, doesn't it? You know, maybe we don't have as many shows that we see them featured on where it's like these are the it girls or these are the ones. I mean, it does feel different. Is it
Yeah,
different?
I just remember. Well, I don't know, because maybe it's we're different. Maybe it's because I'm of a certain age now, and I just don't keep up to date with all of these things. I remember when you couldn't move for Pamela Anderson. She was on like the cover of every magazine. Everything the girl couldn't go to the loo without somebody making a huge Pamela Anderson goes to bathroom in nightclub. Splashed all over the splashed all over the front cover. And then it was Angelina Jolie. Like she came out, and she was Gone in 60 Seconds, and then she was Hackers, and she was more famous for her relationships with Johnny Lee Miller and all of that stuff that was going on. And then she was with Billy Bob, Bad Santa, and they were the it girls of their time. And of course, back in those days as well, we had the supermodels. Remember, they were a thing, Cindy Crawford and all of that stuff. But yeah, so it is a little bit different.
All right. It might also have something to do with
Oh, yeah, sorry. Here, so Bon Necron, and I'm jumping over what you're saying, but he says both ladies are hot. Speaking of Anya Taylor Joy and Anna Darmas, but not getting the attention that past it girls would have gotten. And I think that just goes back to what I was kind of saying there. Not that I'm the font of all fucking wisdom; it just happened to coincide with what I was saying. The interest in what Anna Darmas and Anya Taylor Joy are doing outside of their movie career is not what it was with Angelina Jolie and Pamela Anderson and anybody else. I can't think of any other names at the time. But it's less tabloidy now, isn't it? There's less people, filming them from 100 miles away with binoculars to try and get a top shot of them topless on a yacht. Like reveal Pamela, and all that kind of stuff. But that stuff was going on. That was really going on. Zendaya's another one. Yeah, she's an it girl, but she has a cutesy relationship with Tom Holland. But what do we really know? But back in those days, yeah, you're absolutely right, Bon Necron. That is it. The tabloids were out for these people in force, and we don't really get that so much anymore, as far as I know. I could be completely wrong. Um,
and I also think that Zendaya is still very young and we haven't seen her sexy side yet. She can be sexy. Like I think in the next Dune we might see a sexier Zendaya. You know, and perhaps it's very odd because Hollywood is known for sexing up people regardless of their age, and yet we're not really seeing that with her. Although she did do that incredible series on HBO called, is it Euphoria?
Don't know.
which was kind of, somewhat more of an adult version, although it's about, I think, a teenage girl. I think that it's something to think about, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, retro nerd girl. Twitter. I watched 2 seasons of The Witcher and I don't regret it.
I can
Um,
always hear Retro Nurgle purring through the screen,
yes.
even though
Yes, absolutely. Um, but this is something that I wondered about because we've had a number of different blockbuster films come out, or at least things that we thought should have made a lot more money, and they didn't. And it is true that we're still in recovery from everything. But remember, Spider-Man: No Way Home last year made a lot of money. Maverick, Top Gun Maverick made a lot of money. Even what's the name of that? Was it Fast 10 or Fast
Fast
9?
9 or whatever it was, yeah.
Made a ton of money. So I have to question certain things about these films. Fast 9
Maybe it's
had a lot of.
because maybe it's because in the era of like Tom Cruise, let's just take Tom Cruise as like the iconic movie star that still is the movie star, and what Tom Cruise says goes, right? Maybe there's an angle to this that the studios don't particularly want movie stars anymore. They want to be, does Warner Brothers want Henry Cavill holding them to ransom for extra money because he's going to be Superman, or do they just want, no, you're out? And there's also oh, okay. I don't know. What have I done, Mikey? I feel guilty. What have I not seen? Oh my God, I don't know. I've seen it. I haven't spoken out of turn. Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of that to it, but I think, yeah, it's just the times that we live in. We're living in an era of mass franchises, and that's the only way that seems to be outside of independent cinema. I'm not just talking art house stuff. I'm a big fan of Michael Jai and Scott Adkins and all of that stuff. And I got an email from Amy Johnston. Ah, yes, I did, and you know why I got an email from Amy Johnston.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, so there's independent stuff, and then there's the big budget stuff. And the big budget stuff is always where you're going to get your movie stars from, unless we return to the times of like the 70s where an indie suddenly becomes a big hit and you get a Sylvester Stallone out of it.
Well, obviously, the highlighted comment, and Bon Necron, I'm sorry I didn't say hello to you. Hi, Bon Necron 444, about the It girls and not getting the attention. And Sean Holm mentions the Marvels. How's that going to go? But Luminara 843 makes a good point about them being more generic It girls cookie cutter. That's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're managed, aren't they? They're managed these days. I mean, the thing um, with Pammy or with Angelina. We'll talk about Pammy. Like with Pammy's relationships, her sort of like yo-yo relationships with rock stars. She was, going around with Brett Michaels and Tommy Lee and all that kind of thing. But these people were falling out of nightclubs, pissed out of their heads or coked up and screaming at the camera and doing all this stuff. And Angelina Jolie went through this really weird stage where she was taking drugs and wearing vials of blood around her neck. And even Madonna, you couldn't shut Madonna up about sex. She was just talking about sex, 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 and then brought the book out and did the naughty movie, the erotic thriller. And these people were just less managed than they are now. Like, I cannot imagine Anna de Armas, with her hair all fucked up, falling out of a nightclub in London at 4
No,
a.m. with a fag dangling out of her mouth,
no,
going, "Fuck off, leave me alone, I'm having a night
no.
out." Which you could certainly find Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee doing that back in the day.
Yeah, they were badass. Dennis Mason says Brit actresses are it's absolutely, certainly a lot of talent there. And honestly, Hollywood, especially early on, I guess maybe tried to emulate British actors. So there was a lot of, American-made Hollywood films that not only starred British actors, but they had other actors trying to, recreate the idea that they were from Britain, which is fine. It was what was happening at that time. Bunzo Kilburn is asking me a very serious question before we close out the show. Who is more handsome, Cavill or Hemsworth? Gee, this is really hard to answer. I just think they have two different looks. I think they're equally attractive. So I don't think
But
I could give.
why decide? Why not just have both at the same time? I'm sure that's what you'd prefer. Just put them on an equal stand. Did I say both at the same time? I meant both on an
I'm
equal
fine with
standing.
them both at the same time. I don't know where to look though.
Just keep your eyes closed. It's all happening. That's all I'm
what's
saying.
going on here? I really like that idea. Hi, Sci-Fax. It says, Hail Art and hope you can make it to Avatar. Sci-Fax, are you going to be at the AMC 16? Which I'm assuming is in Burbank. I think it was your name. Maybe I'm not wrong. I didn't even know which time you guys were going. So I have like a 7 o'clock show, the big one. Syfax, I think that's what we're talking about. I could be wrong, but yes, no, I'm not here mainly for Avatar. I just happen to be here. So there is that. And Mikey Lito says Cavill is all over Annie Hemsworth. Very well, Mikey Lito. Fair enough.
I think Pirate Queen's got the best answer. She just says the answer is yes.
Absolutely. Luminara says Cavill. The Pirate Queen says the answer is yes. Honestly, yeah, this is too hard. Love is the answer. Thank you, Dennis. I love them both. I think that they're okay. Yes, the 16 for the 715. Let's see which one I picked up before we go off the air. Hold on 1 second, and I'm sorry, Russ. There's no other way for me to speak to Syfax because that would be the only way. So it's the AMC 16 at 7:15. Which one did I pick? I don't think I picked the 7:15 one. So what am I talking about, guys? What I'm talking about is when I'm going, yeah, I did it. I got the AMC 7:15 Avatar. I don't know which one, whether it's the 3D or the something D. I am yeah, I got the 7:15 one. So I guess I'll be seeing you. That's in 125 East Palm Avenue, Burbank. Chris Gore. Thank you, Syfax. Thank you, Syfax. I'll see you there. Oh, where are we meeting before the movie? Can you just put that in there, please? Chris Gore, who is the independent film movie analyst and filmmaker and writer and producer who works for Film Threat, has a group out here, Russ.
Sorry, I
And
lost
they
you
go
there.
to the
He
movies
has.
every Thursday. Chris Gore, who runs Film Threat,
Mhm.
has a movie group that meets every Thursday here in LA at the AMC 16 in Burbank.
Right.
And I'm going there this Thursday to see. I'm going there to see. Okay, right across from there. Cool. There's a Yard House. Thank you so much, Syfax. I will be there. They meet before the movie at, I guess, at the Yard House. And then after that, I'm assuming it's called a Yard House. Chris Gore, everyone. Yeah, Yard House. Okay, must be a bar. Across the street. You are the best, Syfax. Thank you so. So he has this movie night every Thursday in Los Angeles, and a bunch of people who like to go to the movies will meet with Chris Gore and everybody. So I'm going this Thursday.
Cool.
So it's gonna be fun. Yeah, it is gonna be really cool. I'd forgotten about it. I know, but Syfax, I was watching Chris Gore's stream, I think Friday, and he had mentioned, wanted to know. He said, "Hey, you should go to the Avatar there," and I wasn't quite sure which one it was. Certainly will. It'll be nice to meet you, Syfax. But that's what I'm seeing. Avatar at the AMC Burbank 16, a 7:15 show. Wow, that was lucky. Could you imagine if I had picked a different one? Of water. So it should be pretty cool. It's going to be a fun movie night. Russ, have you bought your tickets to Avatar yet?
No, not yet. No, Bonzo Kilborn says, Russ, you need to get on a plane. You still have time to make it out to LA. That may be prophetic, Bonzo. That might be prophetic in the next year or so. You never know.
Oh my God. Serena Jackson says Anna de Armas can come and hang out with me anytime. I love it, Tom. Retro Nerd Girl says, I wish I were there. Yes, I was. That's why I was asking you, Retro Nerd Girl, if you were on the West Coast. Certainly would have liked to have hung out with you there. Oh, we already met. Okay. You didn't say that. Hi, Syfax. Let me ask you this question. Did I buy you a drink? It was you, wasn't it? Okay, but I'll see you again. Obviously, yes. So Russ, where can people find you?
Usually here, or you can go and see my 1,000-year out-of-date website at russellwhitfield.com, or just drop me a line at contact@russellwhitfield.com. But more importantly, where can people find you, RM?
Yes, it was you. Okay, good to see you again. Guys, you can find me here on Positive Fandom. Do like and subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Great hearing all of your comments and things that were said. Certainly, you guys are the best.
Yeah.
Great to see you. Tom Jr. Jackson, we are all good people, and thank you for your work in the channel and your support. And do check out Tom Jr. Jackson channel, and also check out Russ's website. But guys, you can also find me on the Brrrr Network. That's right. I have a show on the Brrrr Network called Ladies of the PGS on Monday nights at 6 p.m., which I do with Lorena Creole. I also have another show coming out on the PGS, which I'm going to be doing with Retro Nerd Girl, guys. So Retro Nerd Girl is here in the chat. And guys, do also check out Retro Nerd Girl channel, where she has these fantastic reviews. Certainly do check her out as well. The other thing I was going to say is you can sometimes find me streaming with Lorena Creole on her Twitch channel, as well as her regular channel, as you know, that way. And sometimes I'm Midnight Edge, so certainly do check it out, guys. And the 1/6 Scale Man Network for Say What or Uncivilized Scoundrels. And of course, you can find me on Midnight Musings with Robert on Friday or Saturday nights on our show. So I did just want to say to everybody who showed up today, all the super chats, your generosity, so appreciated, guys. Yes, the PGS is amazing. The film guy, thank you for stopping by. Retro Nerd Girl, always a pleasure. Have a great weekend. And Bonzo Cooper says, have a great weekend. Happy holidays. Yes. Happy holidays to you all. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the support. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, if you're a creator out there and you want your information to be shared, come on to the channel here and we will promote your show. Check out Rod Thunderheart's book as well.
100%.
And thank you, Darth Vader. You're saying exactly what I love to hear. Thank you so much. Rod Thunderheart says Merry Christmas. The Pirate Queen says happy holidays. And for all of you out there, and no matter where you are in the galaxy, always please do remember to be kind.
Cheers,
Take
guys.
care,
Thank you
everybody.
so much for a great show. Appreciate it.
And I want to play my promise.